And as I'm sure most of you guys know by this point, Season 6 of The Flash kicked off this past Tuesday, and that first episode was fucking awesome. Seriously, the whole thing was chock full of awesome writing. Everybody on Team Flash actually had something to do other than just hanging around Star Labs all day. We got a great setup for this year's crossover by the end of the episode. And probably best of all, Barry actually took charge and worked out something he could do while in costume. Twice, actually. Honestly, do you guys know how good it is to see Barry using his brain again instead of just waiting for his support group to do all the thinking for him? It was maddening those last few seasons. Speaking of though, we also finally got a Flash versus Godspeed scene too, with Barry taking the time to think and casually outracing the future speedster, before clotheslining him and taking his ass out. Not a bad plan, all things considered, even with all the property damage. But there's a twist. After Barry rips off Godspeed's mask, we find out that it isn't August Hart in the suit. It's actually just some random guy making screeching sounds.
Who are you and what are you doing in Central City?
Damn, Nora really fucked up the timeline more than we thought, huh? Seriously though, what the fuck is going on here? What happened to the real Godspeed, and what's going on with all the screeching the fake Godspeed is doing? Well, if you've been clicking around the interwebs these last few days, then you probably already know there's been a couple ideas being tossed around right now. One big theory I keep seeing everybody talking about is that we're seeing an adaptation of Godspeed's duplication ability from the comics. I already talked about this in one of my Season 5 videos, feel free to click the card on screen to check that out, but basically, being as fast as he is, Godspeed has the ability to split himself into copies of himself so he can be in multiple places at once. The downside is that splitting like this also splits his power between each of the duplicates, making them slower than the original Godspeed is. And while it does make some sense at first that we could be seeing this in the show, since, as I mentioned earlier, we might have already seen this ability in action thanks to Eobard in the Season 5 finale, and this Godspeed was clearly moving way slower than we know he can actually go, this theory still has a couple big problems. See, remember how I said the duplicates in the comics are copies of the original Godspeed? Well, take a look at this guy. This is August Hart, as introduced in the Season 5 episode Godspeed. Now take a look at the guy actually wearing the Godspeed costume in the Season 6 premiere. Notice any differences here? Seriously, they don't look anything like each other. And I know I joked about it at the beginning of this video, but we know there aren't any Flashpoint, Speed Force issues, or anything like that messing with the timeline and changing August into this random dude, since Cisco confirmed that Team Flash already met the real August Hart at some point between Seasons 5 and 6, and they know it definitely isn't this guy.
The fourth Godspeed we've caught this summer, and still no sign of Mr. August Hart.
On top of all that, it's probably also important to point out that Godspeed in the comics can't maintain these clones forever, and trying to hold it for too long starts to seriously hurt him. While in this episode, we find out Barry apparently took down a few different versions of Godspeed by this point, and has all of them locked up. So yeah, I'm gonna go out on a limb here and assume that this guy isn't a Godspeed clone. So okay, if this clearly isn't one of Godspeed's duplicates, then how else can we explain what's happening here? Well, I also saw a theory that this guy, like the other fake Godspeeds Barry caught before the start of the episode, is actually one of the Anti-Monitor's shadow demons in disguise. Or at the very least a Godspeed duplicate possessed by a shadow demon. Now, believe it or not, but this theory actually makes even less sense than just saying Godspeed's duplicates can look like totally random people. Again, it makes some sense if you don't pay too much attention, like it does explain where that weird noise comes from. But even ignoring the question of why the shadow demons would only want to look like Godspeed so far, that still doesn't explain where the shapeshifting abilities even came from, since I'm pretty sure they don't do anything like that in the comics, or why they felt like looking like different people while wearing the original Godspeed's costume. Sure, you could say the different looking people just proves the shadow demons are possessing random people, maybe even random speedsters, from other Earths in order to test Barry, but that still doesn't explain why they were all wearing Godspeed costumes. Maybe they were all Godspeeds from other universes, and the Anti-Monitor or the shadow demons just really like Godspeed, who knows. Honestly though, my personal favorite theory is that these are just random people August tested tachyon stimulants on, as originally mentioned on his record in the Godspeed episode last season. Not only is it the simplest explanation out of the three I've mentioned in this video, since it basically just builds on stuff we already learned about earlier, but it also avoids most of the other issues the other two theories have. August giving other people speedster powers explains why the fake Godspeeds aren't anywhere near as fast as the original, and why they all don't look like him. And if you're willing to believe that his experiments on coma patients did something to their vocal cords, then it also explains why they all apparently did that weird robot scream. Really, the only downside I could think of is that this theory doesn't really make that much sense either, since it implies August is still testing his speedster formulas on random people, which shouldn't really be a thing anymore, since Nora wasn't around to stop him from taking that futuristic kidney bean, but at least it makes the most sense at this point in time, at least to me. Either way, I'm sure we'll find out more about why the fake Godspeeds are running around and what all the original's plan is as the show moves forward, but if I had to guess, I'd say we probably won't find out that much till after the Crisis crossover in December. But anyways guys, that's my take on what I think is going on with Godspeed in this latest season of The Flash. If you guys agreed with anything I said in this video, or if you have your own thoughts you want to throw out there, then go ahead and let me know in the comments down below. Otherwise, I will see you all next time. Hey, thanks for watching. If you like this video, then go ahead and click that like button, and if you're new, maybe consider clicking that subscribe button too. I've also got links to my Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, and Patreon in the description. You should probably check those out too. And if you want to see more of my content, then you can click the link to my last video. It's right there in the middle of your screen. Alright, and I will see you all next time.